I'd kill for your skin. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer. This week we're talking
Skin is
about
good, in
Silence
my
of the
opinion.
Lambs.
In my opinion.
Eh, Skin's fine. It's also extremely annoying.
Super Meat Boy is doing all right without it.
Yeah, Inside Out
That's
Boy did
true.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heroes.
Overrated.
Everything we
Body's
should strive
biggest
for.
organ.
Fucking
Overrated.
Uncle Frank. Put skinless fingers in mouths.
Ugh.
This is episode 193 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
I'm tragedy.
Yeah, you wish. This week we are talking about 2020's Death Drop Gorgeous, which is my pick for a good movie. So obviously I like this movie because I picked it. What did well, I guess first because of this, so spoilers only because this is a newer movie and it has a very like giallo mystery like reveal twist thing going. So this movie will be hitting Shudder March 1st. So if you have Shudder, you could watch it for free. If not, it's on Vudu. I'd recommend renting it if you want to watch it. But I would say, like, maybe don't listen to this if you're interested in watching it until after you watch it, because it does have that, like, a killer reveal and, like, twist ending kind of bullshit. So if you're worried about that, don't listen till you watch the movie. But if not, I don't know. You've been warned. Anyway, so Matthew Broderick shows up and...
Oh, gets stabbed in the eyeball with a... Yeah.
What do you guys think?
It was good. I'm always hesitant about low budget films, largely from screening them for several years.
Right.
But no, it was great. All of the humor in it was pretty funny. I'd say most every joke landed. It wasn't like the typical low budget, like, I'm holding on to my head because it hurts so bad from how stupid everything is kind of
Right.
thing. Yeah, I was impressed. It was good. Definitely worth a watch.
What'd you think, Katie?
I agree. I'm gonna say two things I didn't like about it, and then we'll just get it over with. I wasn't actually, I really wasn't sure what to expect. When the movie first started, I was kind of like, I don't really know if this is, I don't really know. But as it went on, I really liked it. My problems for me is something that I complain about for almost every movie. It was like a little too long for me because I felt like there were times where there was just like too many scenes of like the characters just talking about nothing. You know what I mean? And then some of the acting wasn't the best, but other than that, I really liked it. I thought I really liked the music. I thought there were a lot of scenes, especially towards the end, where the lighting was just like really good. And I wrote in my notes Suspiria vibes.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of like Suspiria vibes from this movie, which I know you said it was like a giallo type thing, but I wasn't really expecting it to be like, I wasn't expecting to feel like that's what I was watching, you know what I mean? And I did, so I appreciated that. Also, I have to say, I was really impressed by like all of the practical effects in this because there's some gross stuff that happens, and I like wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting that aspect of it. So like overall, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the like overly long, because I don't like, it's the same idea of like with comedies where like I don't want a slasher movie running almost 2 hours long. Like, I don't want a comedy that's like 2 hours long. But saying that, like, I feel like it, like, and it's like an hour 45, and like, well, there's definitely times where I'm like, okay, well, I kind of would like to see it move a little bit faster. Like, I don't ever find myself being like, wow, this is boring, because like Kit said, like, everybody in it is pretty funny when they're like with because like, you know, if you like, most of the cast are like drag performers, and like they're a lot of their acting is so like ridiculous and over the top that it's like
it's perfect.
Yeah, it's like it fits what they were like going for with this like queer drag like slasher movie. And like for me, I wouldn't call it a giallo, but there's enough influence there that like it really works for me. Like, even just down to the killer's always got black gloves on. It's got like a fucking ridiculous mask at certain points, that weird mirror globe fucking
like
face
gold
thing. Like,
yeah.
It's like there's you know, you get like a death with the screwdriver, you get the shit with the fucking meat grinder, you get kind of like cool, like interesting like deaths, or not like necessarily deaths, but like, you know, instruments being used, as opposed to just always being like a fucking kitchen knife or whatever. And then, like, you know, like you said towards the end, like the lighting is very Argento inspired, I think. But it's also like it works. Like, I think a lot of the lighting, especially when it's like the like sort of like hot pinkish kind of lighting, works really well with a lot of like the drag makeup in that like kind of final scene or whatever. What were you gonna say?
I think that like maybe my issue with it being not necessarily too long, but I feel like the murder stuff was just done so well that maybe I wish there was more of it, because like we start off real strong, and like, spoiler alert, like, you know, I don't care to see a penis in a movie, but if I'm gonna see it, like, it's got to be meat grinder. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but then I feel like there's kills, but then I feel like there's a really long part in the middle where it's just kind of like the main character like interacting with the roommate and interacting with people at the bar, and then we got all the stuff with the Tony guy. And I feel like maybe I just wanted more killing.
Tony Two Fingers,
you know what I mean?
Is my favorite.
Gross. But no, I agree. I guess I didn't add that. Like, I also found the script pretty funny. Like, I laughed out loud multiple times, which is like not really something I do. So, I don't know. Overall, I liked it.
I'm interested too, because they're currently working on like a second movie. And like, I think that's one of the things that makes the like Death Drop Gorgeous like impressive, is like this is the first movie that like this crew has made. And for something like the first movie, like,
pretty impressive.
There's definitely some of that, like, you know, you could definitely tell it's like low budget. Like, a lot of some of the scenes where it's just people talking will just be like, you know, a one shot just straight on, like whatever, just a plain kind of shot. Like, they're not necessarily doing anything fancy, they're just like getting their shit and moving on. And like, I'm really interested to see like what their second feature will be like, because I know, like, I think a majority of the people that were in this are also going to be in that, including the performer Complete Destruction, who plays Tragedy in this.
Hell yeah.
I've at least seen that like they're in it, along with, you know, like I think the main crew is that like kind of made this are whoever plays Dwayne and his roommate, and then the guy who plays Tony Two Fingers are kind of like I think like the main thrust behind who directed and whatnot. So I'm interested to see what they do next.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I don't really know anything about like drag queens. I of course love all the puns of their names and whatnot. The makeup in this movie, amazing. Outfits, I loved it. I loved the characters. I was gonna ask actually if anybody was like if they were just all acting or if some of them were actually had like real characters.
I mean, I think everybody in it is, has like a new character name.
Right.
But like, I think I feel like a lot of like the drag performers for the most part are kind of just doing like maybe exaggerated versions of themselves, because like
right.
the only person in this that's like a name of any kind is Linnea Quigley as a cameo as the taxi driver listening to, I believe, Drop Dead in her fucking taxi.
What a like kind of a weird cameo. I was like looking for her the whole time, and I was like, "What?" Okay.
It rules because she's kind of like Lloyd Kaufman, where like if you pay for them to get there, she'll be in your movie, and then like it'll draw attention to it because it's like a name. Kind of like how we always get suckered into Lance Henriksen shit, knowing he's gonna be in it for like 5 seconds.
I didn't expect her to be like a actual like person, but then when she actually showed up, I was like, all right, girl.
I just think it's funny. Like I think she's listening to Drop Dead, because I know Drop Dead's in the soundtrack. I can't remember like who's playing in that scene, but she's listening to some like death metal-y grind shit.
I think you're right.
Because that's like I've had like some back and forths periodically with some of the people that made the movie, and like I'm not sure if like they all kind of hop in and out of the
socials,
their like Instagram account or whatever, but I was having a back and forth with somebody about like Scram's music for a while, and I know like at some point Dwayne's wearing like a fucking Invincible shirt in this, and like you can see like a Mortician shirt, and they got like some sort of like metal and hardcore bands like playing in the movie. Like Boy Harsher's got like 3 songs in the soundtrack, so like they're all seem pretty like tuned in to kind of cool underground shit too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on board. I'm excited to see what they do in the future, but let's dive into the plot of this movie. And I guess again, if you made it this far, it's spoilers again.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of already heard some, so turn back now if you want to.
I feel like it's sort of obvious, like, when you watch it. I guess maybe because I've watched this, probably this is, like, my 3rd time watching it, but, like, I feel like it's, like, you get kind of, you're, like, it's not super obvious who the killer is, but it's also, like, kind of obvious if you, like, think about it, and especially once you know and you, like, rewatch, you're like, okay, this makes so much sense. Also kind of very Giallo-like, where like once you kind of like, if you watch it a second time, once you know who the killer is, you kind of like piece it all together as you're watching again.
Pick up on clues.
Yeah.
Blues Clues.
Oh, the No Way Home Blues Clues coming soon.
I saw that. What?
I can't wait till every fucking like franchise that has more than one like actor playing a character just starts doing shit now.
Unless it's Power Rangers and you've got everyone from every single different spin-off and series.
Yes.
I don't care.
130 people.
70, every 70 series with like the 5 of them. Yes, let's do it. I would like a Batman one next, please.
So many Zords. It's gonna be 100 Zords in the city, just
I
beating
love it.
the shit out of Goldar.
We're going to be watching them transform for like a straight hour, and I am here for it.
The entire movie is going to be them holding out their little morpher things, just saying they're Zord.
Well, yeah, I love it. I'm here for that. I'll see it. All right. So, Death Drop Gorgeous. Here we go. So this movie starts with someone trying to get into a bar, and the bouncer does not let them in. They look a little pressed, and essentially they're like messaging someone. And I didn't catch this at first. I caught it later. They're messaging like through a social media thing, and it's called Pounder. Which I thought was pretty funny.
It's a pretty good. Like,
I was like, all right.
Like, I
how is that not real? Is what I'm wondering.
I hate when like TV shows and movies have like a fake version of social media, because it's always got like the worst name. But Pounder's pretty funny. Like they're always
and like the logo.
It'll be
Whoever,
like
I hope
instead of Twitter, they're always like it'll be like
Twitter.
yeah, like
Twizzler.
the tweet box or some shit, tweet book, and I'm like, oh my god, please fucking shut up.
Tweetbook. I joined Tweetbook, not gonna lie. Yeah, so this is Pounder, and the logo was really funny, so I loved it. Especially because I didn't realize it at first, because like this person is like using it, and then later the main character Dwayne. It's when Dwayne was using it that I noticed it, and I was like, oh my gosh. So they're like basically messaging somebody about like, where are you, whatever, and they go around, and there's like a car idling, and they get into the car. They do this thing a lot that I liked, which like again like is like the Giallo vibes, where they show kind of like from the perception of the killer. So basically it's like the perception of the driver, and the guy like gets in the car and is just like, hey, what's up, guy? And he like gives him coke, and he's, you know, snipping the coke. He's like the dude's like trying to make kind of like small talk or whatever, just like, yeah, hey, you know, what's going on? And then his nose starts bleeding, which is pretty gross, and he's like, oh my god, what's happening to me? And I'm like, well, you just did some coke from like a rando in a car, so that's probably not great. But
I don't remember if they ever say what it is, but it's definitely not coke.
I
mean, it's supposed to be,
well,
but like I believe by like the nosebleed that like it's supposed to be something else.
Oh yeah, like I don't know, acid or I don't know. I don't know if you if you sniff arsenic, if like that would make your nose bleed, but his nose is bleeding a lot. It's definitely laced with something, right?
Remember, like when I was in high school, I remember a kid snorting an entire pixie stick and getting like a fucking insane nosebleed from it.
Fuck.
Okay, so I know this doesn't sound like me, but I definitely did that one time at lunch, and my nose didn't bleed, but it was like a blue pixie stick, and I was like blowing my nose blue for like an entire period, and it stung really bad. So don't do that.
Yeah, it sounds
not
like
great. It was bad. Yeah, nose is bleeding a lot, and they're like, oh my god, what the fuck's happening? Get out of the car. And the killer just like gets out, stabs him with a screwdriver.
A bunch.
Oh, he's a bunch, and then at like the last time he stabs him, it's like, and they like jiggle around the little screwdriver in there. Oh yeah, they're dead. And then we just get like the title and the credits kind of over our main character Dwayne, who definitely seems like he's been having a rough time of things. And he goes into a bar, and this is where we meet Tony Two Fingers. I don't know that we actually see, like, he's got some kind of like hand deformity, I guess, but like do we ever see it?
No, like you kind of like it's obvious that the dude has just got like the three fingers pulled back, because every time they show his hand, he's got his hand like against the arm of a chair, or like, you know, on a
under
table
the desk
or whatever.
or
So like all you see is he's got like his I think middle and index finger and thumb, and so like he's got like, you know, he's always got like the ring and pinky at least like pulled down. Like I think the most you ever see it is at the end when he's tied up. But he's also got his pet dog with him. Which we get a dog get a dog death in this movie.
Yeah, we do. Poor pup. I didn't like, for some reason in my notes I didn't mention pup until later, and I don't know why. Because wow.
Yeah, he's got a pet dude in like a leather dog outfit. It rules.
Yeah, he also has his office is like literally decorated in like dog stuff. So he's got like a dog calendar and like a dog statue on the desk, and just like he really likes dogs. And so Dwayne used to work at this bar that I think is called the Outhouse. AUT. What is happening?
Caitlin's hammering something. Might have to put up with like a couple minutes of hammering and drilling. Something's going on in the kitchen.
Oh no.
I'm just hanging something, but Our house has
Okay.
like paper for walls.
Getting
I
hammered.
love it. Pounder! That's
Yeah.
your Pounder
We're
notification,
joining
Nathan.
Pounder in here.
So, okay, Dwayne used to work at the bar and whatever, doesn't work there anymore, is asking Tony for his job back. And
He
Tony is
goes somewhere. I forget where they say he goes to, like, New York City to become somebody or whatever. Just like coming back to this like Rhode Island town. I think they're in Providence, Rhode Island, if I remember. Or maybe it's like
right.
Province something. I don't know. But I think they're in Rhode Island because I feel like some of the bands that were in this are like Rhode Island bands. But he's like coming back to Rhode Island to like, put his life back together after like moving away to do something.
Yeah. So he's basically just like asking for his job back. And at first Tony's like, yeah, sure, here. And just like throws a gallon bag of Coke on the table. It's like, hey, can you push this? And Dwayne's like, that's like not really what I had in mind. And he's just like, okay. He's like, I just want a regular job. And Tony's like, okay, well, why don't you come in on Tuesday? I'll like give you a shot. We'll just like see. So Dwayne goes back to his house, and his roommate Brian, who I also loved,
Yeah, Brian's great.
is like really excited about how Dwayne has a new job, and he like wants to go out and like celebrate essentially. So they go to a bar, and also I gotta say Brian is kind of a terrible friend though, because Brian, they're like on the way to this bar to celebrate, and he's like, oh, by the way, like we're meeting this guy there. And meeting a guy off Pounder. And so then we do get Brian's also like obsessed with this performer named Janet Fitness. And so they go to the bar.
That made me laugh so hard.
Me too. And great outfit, literally just like like a leotard, leg warmers, like a fitness tape instructor that you would see like in the 80s. And so Janet Fitness performs, and I also wrote, I watched this a couple days ago. Normally I watch it the day of because I forget stuff. I just wrote someone's looking sus in the back of the bar. I don't know who that was.
It could be literally
someone's
anybody.
looking sus. I know.
It was Nathan.
Yeah.
Brian meets his Pounder date, who is kind of like a rude, racist asshole, and they're not
Only
vibing
kind of.
at all because he sucks. Yeah, and so basically they like, part ways. Backstage after Janet's performance, she kind of like shit talking the bar, and who's the performer who Janet's talking to?
I don't
Is it Audrey?
remember. I forget, like,
There's one person who I didn't get their name at all.
Yeah, hold on.
And I meant to go back and look, but I couldn't. On IMDb, it wasn't listed.
I was trying to remember who the names of, like, the,
There was Audrey Hartburn,
Hartburn,
Gloria Hole.
Yeah, I think it's Audrey. I can't remember.
Okay. Anyways, basically Janet is just like talking about how the bar fucking sucks, and like the bar's seen better days, obviously. Anytime they perform, there's like barely anybody there. And Janet's basically like a bitch to whoever the other performer is. It might be Audrey. I wrote and is shady too, and then left it blank because I never found out their name. Then back out in the bar, Pounder Guy's still there. He gets a text asking like if he wants a BJ, and he's like, yeah, I do. And he basically ends up like leaving the bar and walking down into a random basement. Really bad. I wrote a bunch of oh no's and oohs because he basically like goes down into a basement. It's like one of those ones that you enter from the street, so it's like, opened to the street and it's just like dark down there, and I was like, sir.
Yeah, it's like the classic like storm shelter thing you see in like a TV show.
Yeah.
I personally
Goes
love a
down
good
there.
street basement.
No. I just feel like it's not safe for anybody. Like, if you are innocent in your house, someone could come in, or vice versa. If you're like an innocent person on the street, whoever's in the house could get you. It's like, I feel like it's just like a lose-lose. And so he goes down there. Also, the basement has like plastic lined everywhere.
Like Dexter plastic
really bad
fucking
sign.
everywhere.
Literally the definition. If you look up murder basement, this is what this basement looks like, except the lighting is like fun.
Just to make sure you don't get cum on everything.
It makes sense.
Well,
I mean, if I walked into a room, it's all plastic everywhere and a glory hole. That's what I would assume it was
immediately.
Yeah, it's your jerk off room.
No questions asked.
Well, all right.
I gotta test the integrity of every ounce of plastic in that room.
I don't want to hear any of this stuff. So he goes in there. Yeah, if you don't know essentially what that is, essentially there's just like a wall with like a PVC pipe sticking like out of it.
Just Google it.
Don't Google it unless you want to see it.
Google it.
And
Google it several times.
Holly, don't show up now. This is not for your tiny ears. Holly always shows up at the worst times. I know. Holly, get out of here. So he sticks his thing in there, and we see it. I
think it's a prosthetic, like dick. I don't think it's his real dick, but
I hope it's his real dick, and it really got ground up.
Yeah, they actually.
I hope so too.
For the love of film.
Yeah.
Art.
Yeah. What do you think? Everybody in those Martin Scorsese movies that made them masterpieces killed on screen for real.
Yep.
That's why you never see Robert De Niro in more than one of his movies.
He's got a rack of like De Niro clones. Like in The Fly, Jeff Goldblum has all the same suit.
Oh yeah.
Just a bunch of De Niros.
Love it. So yeah, he sticks it in there. He's like having a good time at first, and then he's like, "Hey, what?" Like,
he's like, "Hey, watch it with the teeth."
Gotta go get the meat grinder. So he says that. What I loved about this scene is that like the killer is like grinding the meat grinder like way back, and it's just like grinding it. So we're like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, because you get like the shot of it like doing it like coming towards the dick or whatever.
Yeah, like you just
Jaws.
know.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
it would have been sick if they just put in like the Jaws music. It's the only thing. This would have been a 6 out of 5 star movie.
Honestly. So yeah, grinds his sausage right up, and it's so gross too because it looks pretty gross. Like essentially, we're seeing the meat grinder go on it, and there's like stuff squelching and blood out of it. But then it shows like the other side of the wall, but like penal level, and he falls back, and you can see part of his like throat rip, and I was like, oh my god. And now it's just like a little fucking bloody stump, and it was so disgusting looking.
It rules.
I was like, okay, all right.
There's a thing
I'm here for it
with like low budget movies like this that like when they do like when they have like somebody who's really good with special effects that makes it way more realistic somehow. Like,
yeah,
I forget. I think it was Clownado when I watched it, where I was like, the thing that bummed me out in it is like the gore in it is so like, it feels real when you watch it that I was like, I don't like watching this. And you get that a little bit in this scene where you're like, ooh, that seems like a little too real.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
but it rules.
And it was great. And then the guy like falls back and he's like, ah, and there's like literally just like a squirt of blood coming. Like it was just great. And then like hard cut transition to Brian cooking sausages in a pan, and I was like, beautiful, love it. Basically complaining about like the pounder guy from last night. And I fucking love Brian. He says, "Did you catch that motherfucker's penny loafers?" And I was like, I would have been friends with Brian. I definitely would have been friends with Brian. And then this is when Brian asked Dwayne like what happened with his last job, and essentially I think he said something like he had moved to, I thought he said like a bed and breakfast. To like
that's
help,
right, yeah.
But,
he went I think they say he goes to upstate New York to start a bed and breakfast, which is like a trope, like a trope amongst like I think like gay storyline things in like movies and TV shows.
Well, so like essentially he's just like, yeah, there was a guy there, and essentially like he was dating, and then the guy just kind of like got tired of him and like moved on, so he came back. And I love that like Brian asked him like what happened, and then as soon as Dwayne starts telling the story, Brian like starts getting on his phone and is like not really paying attention. And I was like, oof, that I feel that's happened to me. Brian's like not really listening or whatever, and then he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, that's so sad. So then, oh my God, cut. Okay, so then basically there's like two people who are working at the club, and I didn't mention this at first, but essentially when Dwayne goes back into the club to like ask for his job back, we see Tragedy, who is like my favorite.
Yeah, she's great.
Like sweeping or something, and it's just like kind of weird. So this is when like Tragedy and one of the other workers are like taking out the trash at the club, and the other person's just like talking about, I don't know, like, you know, like, I don't know, talking about whatever. And Tragedy like opens the dumpster lid and looks in, and we see the guy who got killed in the very beginning is like dead in the dumpster, looking real gross now because like his entire like upper lip area is just like melted away. And he's dead. He looks fucking gross. And Tragedy is just kind of like, and just like sighs and like shuts the dumpster and walks away. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the other guy's like, what? And like opens the top and like literally freaks out because it's like a dead body. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, it's great.
So then we're introduced to two detectives, Barry and O'Hara, who are partners, but just detective partners. And they're just like chilling in the park. O'Hara gets a call and is like, okay, is it okay if I bring my partner? And then he's like, oh no, like my detective partner. But I don't know about that, because later Barry's given him a pretty nice massage, if you ask me. So they go. It was Tony that called, about the dead guy in the dumpster. And so they show up, and they're kind of like, okay, well, like, this is really weird. Like, how do you know him? Like, what happened? And Tony's like, I didn't call you down here for an investigation, which I thought was really funny.
His delivery is so good. Like, his character sucks. He's like a fucking shitty character, but like the actor doing
he's like
it,
always
it's so
yelling.
Funny.
Yeah. He's like always on like level 10. You know what I mean? He's like always yelling and like just so mad. And he's like, I didn't call you down here for an investigation. And he's essentially like giving them bribe money to get rid of the body. And O'Hara's kind of like, well, like it's not really like it used to be. Like, you can't just like pay off the cops or whatever. And he just like gives them more money, so they're gonna go do it. And they do. Basically, they take the body and like dump it behind like a Chinese food restaurant dumpster or something, which is really shitty. So cut to Dwayne's like first shift, working behind the bar, and nobody's really there. And there's just like this scene of Tragedy on the stage playing a theremin. How do you say it? Theremin. Very amazing. I love it.
The drag show I want to go see. Just someone doing weird
literally,
theremin
yes.
noise. Just
And like essentially Tragedy's like character is that usually she's wearing black and white and also has kind of like one black contact and one blue contact, like kind of like Marilyn Manson-y
she's the
eyes,
she's the
you know what I
goth,
mean?
the drag queen in this movie.
Yes. Definitely my favorite. And this is when we're introduced to Gloria Hole, who comes up
the
to
best drag name.
Incredible name.
amazing. Comes up to the bar and like looks at Dwayne and is like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh," or it says maybe, "Do I know you?" or something. And Dwayne's like, "Oh, well, kind of, like I used to work here." And then Gloria is like, "What's your name, Tito?" And he's like, "Dwayne." And they do this back and forth, but Gloria essentially is like, "Tito, Wayne, Elaine, Mitchell. All right, Shane, 2 shots of whiskey. Don't give me the good stuff." Just like the delivery of it, I thought was very funny.
Like I think that's, I can't remember if that person is like an actual drag queen or somebody playing like a kind of like a you know character. God damn, I can't get it. Characterization of like a drag queen, but they're so good as like the like old bitchy like drag star.
That's why I was like kind of wondering if some of these characters were real. Like obviously not to the degree that they're being played, but yeah, she like Gloria Hole's character is very much like a like, I don't want to say first generation drag queen, but like glamour Hollywood,
they're very
that kind of
bitter
stuff.
about like, you know, kind of being left behind for this like new drag scene that's going on. Cause like,
right,
you know, like the big kind of thrust of their character is like getting pushed out of like the weekend slots of drag performance for like a Tuesday afternoon because they're still doing, you know, Liza Minnelli songs or whatever, as opposed to like this new generation's doing this like weird, you know, more modern kind of pop stuff, which plays off in the best way
like
when
Lady
Gloria
Gaga
tries to
versus...
like become modern.
Oh my God.
My favorite thing in the whole movie.
It was something. So essentially, yeah. So, and then I think that Gloria calls Dwayne Tito the rest of the movie, which not great, but very funny. Gloria performs and again does just like a really slow song. There's also like nobody there, and performs and immediately walks off and starts like complaining to Tony about basically like the performance slot, and he like really doesn't care. You know, because then like that, you know, to what you were just saying, Gloria's kind of talking about how like I used to be like the breadwinner here and people would come to see me, and now you have me working on Tuesdays and there's nobody here, blah blah blah, and kind of like threatens Tony, and he's kind of just like, well, where else are you gonna go? Like, you don't have, like, what are you gonna do? And basically Gloria's just like, oh you guys, Hobby, the 3-legged cat, is here. Hi, Hobby. Oh my gosh, so cute.
Special guest. Put that in the episode description.
Special guest, Hobby, the 3-legged cat. So yeah, Tony's sister is just like, you know, like, I don't care. You can threaten me. Like, what are you gonna do? And then Gloria's like, please give me another chance. Like, I know that I can do it. So Tony is like, fine. Like, you can perform at this ball on Saturday, but he's like really, like, he's really mean and rude to her, and I didn't like it. Well, oh my God. Then we cut to Janet Fitness, who is like, I guess at a different bar, but drinking out of like a straw that literally says Janet, and I was like, iconic. I love it. I do too. And Brian comes in like literally wearing, so Brian, like the night before, Brian had like met Janet and gotten the autograph and all that stuff and was like really excited. So the next day, Brian's still wearing like a Janet Fitness like tank top, or not tank top, crop top, and is really excited to run to Janet and was like, you said you like, oh, remember me from last night? Janet is just super rude to Brian, which made me so sad. I don't know what this says.
What?
So it like cuts to like Brian, and Brian's normally wearing like kimonos and like light colored stuff, and it like cuts to him wearing basically like gray and black, and he's got this like veil on, like a mourning veil, because he's been shattered by fucking stupid Janet, and is like telling Dwayne about it, and basically it's like whatever. And Dwayne is just like, well, guess what? Everyone sucks. Like, whatever. I gotta go to work.
Big mood.
Yeah. I kind of skipped over some of like the little chatter, but basically Audrey Heartburn tells Janet that Gloria, because Janet got arrested or something, and he was like, oh, Janet's on house arrest, like you can play the ball or something, but Janet basically did some favors for the cops, so is now not on house arrest anymore, and essentially finds out that Gloria is doing the ball instead of her. Also, Tragedy, meanwhile, eats a pomegranate with a knife in the background. Amazing. So, at close that night, the bartender gives Audrey the keys and is like, I have to leave, like, do you mind locking up? Audrey is like, I'm gonna go count my tips downstairs, and like goes downstairs and is like counting tips, and someone comes up behind her who she thinks is Tragedy, so she's kind of like talking to her, but it's like somebody comes in wearing all black with a face mask, but it's like just a gold plate, like a face visor sort of, and like I said, Audrey thinks that it's Tragedy, so she just like is kind of being a bitch to her or whatever. And basically, Audrey picks up this like hand mirror and is like, mirror, mirror, didn't you know Janet is a fucking bitch? And I thought it was really funny. But then it is not Tragedy, it's the killer, and they just start slamming Audrey's face down into the mirror, and until she dies. Pretty gnarly.
I like the effect of like just like the broken glass like all in her face.
Yeah. Yikes. Doesn't seem like a fun way to go.
Nope.
Cut to the ball. It's the day of the masquerade ball. It's like a benefit, I guess. And Dwayne comes out of his room wearing his costume, which is like, I don't know, kind of like a peacocky thing, but it's just like, it's kind of like hot pants with like a mask, and then there's like peacock feathers or something. It's like, it's not really a costume. But Brian is encouraging about it. Then, oh my God. So Gloria is getting ready. Janet, of course, is a bitch, and Gloria's just kind of like, you know what, whatever. I've got this new routine. I don't really care about you. Like, I'm gonna go out there and kill it.
And she does.
Gloria performs. I just wrote, it's something. I don't really know how to explain what happens, but
I don't know if it's like a real song or something they did for the movie, but it's this weird little like a gothy synth song where the lyrics are like hashtag I swallow, and it's so fucking good. And
the dance is like weird or whatever, and then at the end of it someone yells, yes grandma, fuck it up. And I felt, first of all, I laughed, but I felt so bad for laughing.
It reminds me of like, do you remember the old like SNL skits for like Sprockets, the like German like talk show that Mike Myers would host, and it was like they would always have like the goth whatever like dance going on, and like it reminds me of that.
It was something. And yes, grandma, fuck it up. Gloria runs off the stage like crying, of course, and Dwayne goes to like check on her, but she's like really mean to him about it, and then he's like mean to her back or whatever. And then we just kind of like hard cut to a body wrapped in paper by the river, or wrapped in something by the river. And I think it's the guy who got his dick shredded, and the detectives are like looking at him. And they get a call about how Audrey's body has been found. And so they go to Tony's, and they're just like, okay, this is like really sus now. There's like 3 people that are dead connected to the bar. Like, we're going to have to start like hanging around here, and like maybe we'll have to interview some people. Tony's mad about it, but he's like, whatever. And this is when they watch like the security tapes, and they see that the night that Dick Shredder got his dick shredded, like Dwayne, you know, because he was like fucking gross to Brian and Dwayne kind of like shoulder checks him when he leaves. And so now the detectives think that like Dwayne is a suspect.
Yeah, like the red herring throughout the movie is like Dwayne having, I don't know, anger problems, and it's kind of sort of led to believe that he's the killer. But I feel like that kind of also doesn't really go anywhere, because it also doesn't make any sense.
No, so the other thing that I forgot to mention, because I thought it was kind of just like the detectives being stupid, is that like the bodies that they're finding are completely drained of blood, and at this point they've started calling the killer like a vampire or something. So maybe this is the first time they mention it. I'm not sure, but yeah. So then I'm not really sure who this is supposed to be, but the killer essentially meets somebody to give them a massage, and starts doing the massage, but then just like cuts their throat and like collects the blood in a bucket. Hate to see it. And oh my God. So the next day, the cops, like the detectives, like find the body, and I think it might be Barry that goes, "Oh man, he was pumped and dumped," which I thought was hilarious. So this is when the detectives like go to the club and start like interviewing people, and there's this like scene where they're just like, "Okay, what's your name?" And Tragedy says, "I am Tragedy." And they're like, "Okay, like, but we need to know your name for the record." And Tragedy's like, "I'm Tragedy." It was the
So
delivery
good.
of it was so funny. They're just like, okay. So then Brian finds out about like the people being killed or whatever, and it's just like, this is so scary. Like, why didn't you tell me? And like, I don't want you to be killed. Like, maybe you shouldn't go back to work. And Dwayne is just kind of like, let's change the subject, whatever. I don't want to like deal with this. So back at the bar, there's another show. Dwayne. Oh, no. Dwayne goes to I don't know, it's not hardcore, but like goes to a show where this is kind of like just a scene, I think, to show that he's got like anger issues, because he like meets somebody in the bathroom, they like hit it off, and they're like making out and doing coke and stuff. And then when they come back out, that guy starts like kissing somebody else, and then Dwayne gets mad and punches him, and then they start like fist fighting or whatever. So I don't know, Dwayne's got some anger issues, I guess. So during like this show or whatever, Brian has this like audition that he's gonna do, and he really wants to get like Gloria's help because he thinks that Gloria's character,
Toll booth worker number 2 or
Toll
some
booth
shit.
worker number 2, yeah. So Brian's like trying to be an actor, performer, or whatever, and thinks that it would be a good idea to like go to Gloria's to get some pointers. So he shows up at Gloria's house, and Gloria's just like, "I don't want any," or something like that. And then Brian like holds up the whiskey, and so Gloria's like, "All right, come in." Gloria's making fruit salad, and Brian starts like talking about the audition or whatever. And so this scene is like cut between Gloria's house and like the bar where Dwayne is like getting in the fight or whatever. So Gloria is just like not into helping Brian at all and is like, I'll be right back, and like goes into the bathroom to like smoke or whatever. Brian just helps himself, is like looking around Gloria's house, and when Gloria comes back out of the bathroom, Brian is wearing like her stuff, and she just like fucking snaps and, oh no, stabs poor Brian with a knife.
Yeah, I like that, like, the reveal comes kind of so early in the movie, because it's like,
yeah,
you know, most things, like, especially like the Giallo type stuff, like, you'll get the reveal and then the movie ends. Like, you get the reveal of who the killer was in the last like 3 minutes of the movie. And so I liked it around like 45 minutes into the movie, you kind of like, you basically get, like, you get who the killer is, so that the rest of the movie you kind of have an idea of what's going on, but no one else in the movie knows what's going on yet.
Yeah. I like the way that they did this reveal too, because it's like very obvious that Gloria is having a hard time, and then there's like this also this like kind of like backstory thing with like Gloria's mom, who was like,
Hello?
that was weird.
Yeah.
Hello?
Sorry, I shifted my
like
leg and it caught my headphones
Wow.
and pulled them out. I was falling asleep. I was like, oh God. Nope, it didn't go well.
You can't move at all.
I have to stay frozen in place.
Yes, you
Bad
can't.
things
Don't
happen
move
when
at
I
all.
try to move.
That's right. I was saying I like the reveal here because, like, I honestly wasn't paying attention enough to realize at this point that it was Gloria. And I liked the reveal that, like, basically Gloria just kind of, like, snaps and just, like, walks up and stabs Brian. And, like, to be fair, I didn't even, at this point, because it kind of happens fast, I didn't connect that Gloria was, like, the actual killer. I just thought, I don't know, Gloria's having a tough time. Until, like, Gloria stabs Brian and then, like, sits down and is kind of just like, oh, my God, like, what did I do? And then Brian gets up and, like, escapes out of Gloria's basement, and it's like the same basement that the Pounder guy went into, and that's when I was finally like, oh, okay. So I was kind of slow to it, but like the way that they did the reveal, I really like.
You also get like as Brian's like escaping, like he comes out of like that, you know, the basement thing, exiting to the street, and Gloria's just standing there, and you get classic Giallo eye trauma of the heel
of
their shoe into his eye.
Yeah, basically just like kicks and stabs him in the eyeball with her shoe, and he falls, and like you see the heel through his like eye socket essentially, and pour one out for a real one. Brian's dead. I was really sad about that. So the next day, Dwayne wakes up. You know, he's beat up from the night before, and discovers that Brian isn't there, but isn't like super pressed yet. You know, whatever. And basically we're okay, so this is what I'm saying, like I didn't mention Pup at all, and it's just like the club is slow again, and Tony argues with his dog. The dog is a person, like
Yeah, rules.
Could you imagine? So like essentially he like gets in an argument because like Tony's mad about how shitty the bar's doing, and dog wants to just like comfort him and like get a little hump. Tony's like, you only, I don't know what he said. He's just like, you only want to have sex when I'm mad or something like that. And he's like pissed and like kind of kicks Pup out, and he leaves and immediately gets hit with a car that Gloria is driving.
Yep, got a dog death.
And he like, I'm pretty sure he yelps too, which was really sad. So late, like, I don't know, Tony realizes that, like, you know, Pup left. He calls the detective and is just like, dog is missing. And the detective is like, well, don't you have him chipped? Just look up his location and we'll pick him up like last time. And Barry's like, what?
It's so fucking good.
Meanwhile, like, this is like kind of cut between Dwayne. Dwayne's like trying to call Brian like to figure out where he is. the Tony runs the check on the chip in Pup and finds out that the address comes back to a street where they know that Gloria lives. And the detective's like, okay, we'll go there. And Tony has this like moment where he's like, he says, you two have been like fucking sons to me, even you, Blueberry. And him calling him Blueberry made me laugh so hard. And he's just like always like, you know, at his absolute limit. And the detective O'Hara just like looks at him and goes, that was a really nice thing to say. And then they leave. And I was like, what is going on here? Oh my gosh. Okay, this also made me laugh. So they're back at work, and Dwayne is just like, you know, he still can't get a hold of Brian. He's like, I just have like a really bad feeling about working tonight. And one of his coworkers goes, well, Mercury's in retrograde. And then Dwayne goes, what does that mean? And his coworker's just like, and I was like, listen, I've been there. I thought that was very funny.
That's how I feel anytime someone talks about astrology shit to me.
Okay, so now the movie just like really goes off the rails, and we see Gloria. I don't actually know Gloria's real name, but Gloria is basically at home, like no makeup, no like nothing, just like like I was gonna say like normal outfit, like normal costume, but like this is the first time that we see Gloria out of drag, essentially, and just looking in the mirror, smiling all crazy and stuff, and drinking wine / maybe it's blood, who knows, but then gets into a bathtub that is definitely full of blood. There's just like, I don't know, this moment where I think this is when it's cut with music, because like throughout the movie we do see other performances happening, and so I think this is one where there's like performance, so it's like we don't really hear stuff that's happening because it's like cut with the music. And like I thought the scene was really cool. It kind of reminded me of like a Silence of the Lambs, where I guess maybe spoilers for that, where like the detectives are like, they're sure they have Buffalo Bill's house and they're like going, and it's like cut with like Clarice talking to Buffalo Bill and like the cops or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I always assumed that was kind of like a bit of an homage to Silence of the Lambs with that scene.
Yeah, so I liked it a lot. Because like Gloria's in the murder basement. There's like a bathtub full of blood. The lighting's all weird, you know, just taking a bath in some blood, and like completely submerges in the blood. And then it's like crazy because like when he sits back up, he has like a long blonde wig on and looks very young. And at first I couldn't tell it is a different actor, but like at first I couldn't really tell because the light was so weird.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What
was going on?
Young Gloria is like a sort of known drag performer.
I looked up the name and it didn't sound it like.
Yeah,
it sounded like probably
person's name they go by Ninny Nothing, but like I think because I was kind of looking up sort of like a little bit on Instagram some of these people, just kind of seeing like who they were, and I believe they have like a following or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Common Destruction, the person that plays Tragedy also does as well.
Yeah. So yeah, emerges from the tub, very young with a blonde hair. The detectives arrive at the house and basically are like coming down to the basement to like, you know, do detective work. And Barry enters first and is like looking around and is like, wow, this kind of looks like a murder dungeon or whatever. Gloria's like hiding and just like steps out and sledgehammers Barry in the head.
Yeah, it rules too.
Yeah. And when basically like Barry falls on the ground and the other detective comes in and like picks him up and is like, oh no, no, you know, like really upset or whatever. And then Gloria gets him too. This is the part where I wrote Suspiria vibes, because Gloria's like covered with like streaks of blood, and the lighting is like pink and blue, but it's like really, really harsh, and it just like really reminded me of that. It was like very unsettling. You know, just having a great time, having killed people, being young. You know how it is.
It's like always fun. It's also funny to me too, because like the young version, like they don't look really similar at all. You just gotta like go with it.
Yeah, because when they first get out of the tub, I was like a little confused about what was happening. It wasn't like super clear to me, but when I like put everything together, I was like, okay, yeah, definitely a different person. Oh, so Dwayne is still at the club or the bar or whatever it is, and is talking to like Tragedy, and it's basically just like where are Tony and Pump? Like, where is everybody? This is getting crazy. And Gloria comes in and looking very different. I again hate to just like point to Lady Gaga, but it reminded me of like a Lady Gaga kind of like aesthetic, with like long blonde hair, kind of like a white bodysuit, looking killer. And Tragedy is like beautiful. And okay, so Janet Fitness, that bitch, is performing on stage at the masquerade ball, and basically Gloria sneaks underneath the stage with a knife and is basically just like waiting for Janet to do the death drop, which is, I think, when they just like
it's that like
drop it,
it's like
into like a split, but
yeah, it's like you're like one leg kind of. So what it is you fall basically on your back, and one leg kind of like bends in a way that like it kind of looks like a chalk outline, I guess. And so it's a pretty prominent move amongst like dance move in like the like drag dance competition community. I remember Caitlin showed me like a bunch of like some video of like some dance competition where like it just happened like all the time, like forever ago. Because I remember when this like movie came out, I was like, oh, I know what that term is now because of that video I had to see.
It looks hard as hell to accomplish. So,
it's funny when you look, like, if you look up like where does the term come from, like one of the frequently asked questions is like, does it hurt to do a death drop?
I'm sure that they know a way to do it where it doesn't, but yeah, it looks like it. It also like sounds like really dramatic, because you're kind of, it's not like you just like bend your legs and go to the ground from like a standing position. It's like a drop. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff I saw and like some of the compilation videos of death drops, like it doesn't look fun, but I guess if you know how to do it, there's like a safe way to do it. But I imagine learning it's probably painful, especially because especially if you're in like platforms or heels, because you're even that much higher. Like a lot of these performers are like very tall anyway, so I can't imagine. Sounds scary. Anyway, so Janet does the death drop, and death drops right onto Gloria's knife that is poking up through the floor.
The audience at first, the bridal shower group like freaks out until music starts playing, and they're just like, "Fuck yeah!"
I was about to say, there's like this obnoxious group of it's like a bridal shower or whatever, and they're just like screaming and shit. And so yeah, they freak out at first, and they're like, "Oh my god!" But then like Gloria comes out, and the music starts playing, and then they're just like, "Oh, maybe this is part of the show." And I was like, okay. And Gloria performs, and this time everyone loves it. So Dwayne like calls Tony, and it's just like, you have to get, Tony is like distraught over Pup being gone, so he's like not at the club at all. And Dwayne is like calling Tony, and it's just like, trying to tell him that something's wrong, and Tony's not listening. And Dwayne goes, "I think Janet's fucking dead." And the way he said it made me laugh so hard. And Tony just like doesn't care, like hangs up from him. And then it like cuts back to Tony at home drinking wine out of a dog bowl. Amazing. He hears a bark outside and is like, "Oh my God, pup, you're back." And he goes out there. There's like a huge present on his doorstep. And if you couldn't guess at this point, it's just Pup's
Gwyneth
head.
Paltrow's head.
Yeah. R.I.P. Pup.
R.I.P.
Not R.I.P. to Gwyneth Paltrow. Go away. You suck. You suck. Tony's upset, and then this is when Gloria comes in and knocks him out.
They basically, is this when they just like they wake up like Tony's like tied to the chair and stuff?
I don't know. I wrote "boo, it's the vampire" in quotation marks.
Well, I don't know. If I remember correctly, that's like just how like when Tony wakes up or whatever, that's like, Gloria's kind of villain speech or whatever. Where it's like explaining
I said,
everything.
"Boo, it's the vampire." Tragedy gives Dwayne a bingo.
Oh, that's right.
Tragedy
like sneaks up behind Dwayne and like would.
Oh, boo! It's the vampire. Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Because that's how Dwayne realizes it's Gloria, because Tragedy gives him the bingo ball. Yeah. I-69 though.
Boo! It's the vampire. Yeah, it's 69. And so he's like, "Oh shit," and goes to the bingo hall. This is when he like takes a taxi cab, and this is like Linnea Quigley's guest spot or whatever. Gloria has Tony tied up and is basically like, again, like what we already talked about, but this is like the reveal of it, kind of, where Gloria's talking about basically like the good old days of drag, and like when the bar was like new, and basically talking about how like the young queens are all trash because they don't even have to try, and they're shit basically. And Gloria says the line, "My tuck is everlasting," and I thought that was so funny.
It's perfect.
And then Gloria just like gives this long speech basically, and then at the end Tony's just kind of just like, "Listen, I get it, everything sucks, okay, like I don't know what you want me to do about it." And Gloria's just like, "Oh, well, I guess," and like cuts off some of Tony's fingers with like an electric knife.
His last two fingers.
Now maybe
on his hand.
He's Tony no fingers.
He's got fingers on his other hand. He should have been Tony 7 fingers.
Yeah, now he's Tony 5 fingers. Yeah. Dwayne shows up and is like, "Hey, stop!" And Gloria's like, "Oh my God, you scared the shit out of me." That made me laugh. Gloria is basically just like, "You can't stop me, Tito." And uses the electric knife to like cut Tony's stomach open, and his intestines like flop out and stuff, and it was pretty gross looking.
I just love I love that they gave him this like big fake belly throughout the entire movie solely for like.
Oh my God!
Scene.
So the first time that they show, because like normally he's behind the desk or whatever, and the first time they showed him, I was like, "What's going on with his stomach?"
Yeah.
It paid off though, because like it paid off.
There's few things as good in like a movie like this, of like as somebody just getting like their like stomach like slashed over and then just like all of their insides falling out.
Yeah.
It also pays off in the best way, which he like grabs Dwayne.
So this is also when Dwayne finds out, Dwayne is kind of just like, "Gloria, how could you do this? People loved you. People looked up to you. Like, what if Brian, like, whatever." And then this is when Dwayne finds out that Gloria has killed Brian, and he gets mad and runs at her, but she just grabs him and starts like choking him out, and then I guess like shoves Tony's intestines down his throat to like choke him.
Yeah, I forget what line she says, something about like kissing his ass or something, baby, and she just like jams like the end of his intestines into Dwayne's mouth.
Can't imagine that tastes very good.
No, it's
Probably
doesn't
not.
sound great.
Like, was it the food part of his intestines or like the poop part? I don't
I
know.
feel like either
You be the
way.
What if it's
judge.
the part in between?
Yeah, where it's like
That's like
food poop.
half,
It's
yeah,
both.
like
Ew.
mushed down food.
Blech. You know, they do this thing where they kind of like tease Dwayne being dead, but he's not, and they fight again. Again, I started saying this earlier, but I got sidetracked, I guess. There's like this whole thing with Gloria's mom having also been like a drag queen who kind of like uh is passed on now, and Gloria does, you know, obviously we're at a bingo hall, does like reads out bingo numbers and like has a shrine to her mom there,
Well,
and
it's
the
it's her
mom's
drag
drag
mom who's
yeah,
just
her
like
drag
yeah,
mom's name was Kitty Litter.
incredible.
And yeah, has the shrine there, and so like Dwayne knocks over Kitty Litter's like decanter, like whiskey decanter of ashes, and she freaks out and like slams him on a table, and again thinks that Dwayne is dead, and goes to smoke a cigarette, but then Dwayne like smashes the urn over Gloria's head, and then like pushes over some kind of column onto her that like has some kind of design on it that like spikes into
Yeah,
her or
it's like
something.
a star
And
thing or something on it.
yeah, and is like impaling her, and then like he walks up holding this like ceramic baby thing over her head, and um Gloria said, "Tell him Gloria said to go fuck themselves." And then Dwayne is like, "You're such a terrible person." And then Gloria is just like, "So is everyone else. And deep down, you probably are too." And then it like cuts away before Dwayne like either smashes or doesn't smash a baby down on Gloria. We don't really know. Because then it cuts to 6 months later where Dwayne is now the owner of the outhouse and is like, things are going to be different this time. So then it cuts to one of the queens like driving a car, and this is the one whose name I never wrote down, so I don't know who it is.
That's
like
Young Gloria in Tragedy driving away.
it's Gloria.
Yeah, that's Young Gloria in Tragedy. Cause then, so did you watch like into the credits and stuff at all?
Yeah, but I thought it. Okay, that's confusing to me because they just like look really different. Because now they have like a brown wig with like a star on their cheek. So I thought it was like the other person who was like kind of like the hostess queen.
Oh, I always thought it was supposed to just be Gloria and a Tragedy going somewhere else to like not necessarily like make it like to leave it open if they wanted to do a sequel or whatever. That's the way I saw it. I was pretty sure that was just, you know, Young Gloria.
Oh, okay. I am confused about that point then.
It might not be, but
well,
anyway, that's always what I thought it was.
It cuts to somebody driving and basically just like talking to Tragedy about how they're like on the run forever or whatever, and Tragedy is just like, yeah, but like we'll need more blood eventually. And essentially they say like, well, if we're gonna be together forever, I'm gonna need you to lighten up. And then they start laughing and they like drive off into the sunset or whatever. Then it starts the credits, and then we see Gloria, but like older Gloria, who it's like Gloria the first time that we see her, you know, whatever, before the bloodbath, literal bloodbath.
Yeah.
And basically like at the bar talking about how like after 30 years it's over for her and she's got to hang her wig and move on. And then Tragedy is basically just like, maybe it doesn't have to be the end. And then Tragedy like offers blood, and then it's actually the end. I just was really confused because if it is, I mean, I guess it would make sense if they had a disguise, right? Because they're like fleeing or whatever,
Mhm.
but I guess it just wasn't super clear to me who it was, and so I was confused.
I'll have to
But essentially, like,
watch the ending
yeah,
again because
essentially,
I thought it was supposed to be Gloria and Tragedy just like moving to like a new town or whatever. Like I think the way I read it is that Dwayne doesn't kill her and they just like after like the, everybody's terrible line or whatever and like they just like the idea that Dwayne's like, yeah,
he
but
just
you
like
just got
lets
to
her
get the
go.
fuck out of here or whatever kind of thing.
I guess in my mind, it was like either Dwayne is gonna kill Gloria or Gloria is going to be arrested for lots of murders. But I guess the detectives are dead, so like, who would arrest
Right.
her? Maybe. So I guess that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it. I just personally, for me, it wasn't very clear. But anyways, yeah. So like, essentially, it's like, yeah, Tragedy was actually really actually a vampire the whole time, and I love that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
I love it. It's like I mean, if you've made it this far, like hopefully you'll watch it. It's like I think the easiest way, like I would, it's like if John Waters tried to direct a Giallo movie, and it rules. It's so good. Like the the deaths are all great. Like all of the drag actors in it are extremely funny. Like I don't know, I love it. It's a movie I've been wanting to do for a while, but I was just like, I don't know, this doesn't necessarily qualify as like what we normally do. So when we decided to do like movies we actually liked, I was like, all right, I gotta throw it in there, and it just kind of timed out perfectly that it's gonna come out like a couple days before it hits Shudder.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
Like yeah, because I've seen like a bunch of people now that are like getting ready to cover it or like we're gonna do watch parties on the first, and I was like, man, I planned this like weeks ago,
Perfect.
and
Yeah.
it just somehow
Yeah. Yeah.
like worked out well. So yeah, go watch that when it hits Shutter on the first. Um, I bought the DVD. The DVD is pretty fun. There's like a bunch of like bonus features and shit on it. So, and I think it's like the only way you can get it is through like a. Oh fuck! I wish I could remember the name of the website. I think the only place selling it is this like queer owned like movie place in like LA or some shit. So go support that if this is your shit.
For sure.
All right. Any news?
Um, the, I
World
saw
bad.
that they're
Yeah.
the world is bad. Yeah. Honestly though, I saw that they're making a Garbage Pail Kids cookbook, and at first
Oh,
I
hell
was
yeah.
like,
I want to cook
at
vomit.
first I was like, okay, yeah, okay, because like some of the recipes are called like Johnny's Snot Rocket and shit like that, and it's got like illustrations exactly, like quintessential Garbage Pail Kids. And so I clicked on it and I was like, wait, are these like gross recipes? They're not. They're normal recipes that have like gross names, but the recipes were developed by a like her name is Elizabeth Weinberg. Weinberg, I hope I said that right. She's like a pretty prevalent chef in New York, but she's also a Chopped winner. So I was like, fuck yeah, because I love Chopped. And she's also married to like R.L. Stein's son, and R.L. Stein is like doing the forward of the book. So I just thought that was super cute. And I think it's like, I know pizza's in it. It's got like a bunch of things. So if you, I don't know, that just seems like such a fun like thing to have if you like horror, or if you have kids that are like into that. I don't know. Sounds super fun to me. I think that comes out in September.
Hell yeah.
So you can make Snot Rocket pizza and whatnot. And then I saw an update on the Alien TV show. That they're, we were kind of like speculating about what it was going to be, or where, like when we did our Alien,
Yeah.
our like 12-hour Alien episode. And the only thing I saw so far is that basically it's supposed to take place on Earth before Ripley exists. So it's like the earliest in the Alien timeline that's based on Earth. And so it takes place like 70 years from like us existing now today in the real world.
Doesn't make sense to me.
I'm
But not getting into it.
Me neither. So yeah, and basically they said like Ripley's not going to be in it, and like nobody that exists in the Alien franchise is going to be in it. So like, I don't know. Except for obviously like the xenomorph stuff, but like, I don't know. I just really don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. What did everybody watch this week? Katie.
Jackass.
Oh yeah. How was that? Obviously good.
Yeah, it's the greatest film.
Wait,
ever
are you
made.
saying you watched Jackass, or are you calling me a jackass?
Both.
Wow.
Watched. I would never.
I saw you guys got a sick poster. That was cute.
Yes, I was so excited. So, I had time between work and when I had to pick Layla up from the airport. So I was like, I'm gonna see Jackass because I haven't seen it yet, and it was incredible. And then I picked her up and we go back to my place, and we're like, let's go see Jackass again tomorrow. But she hadn't seen it yet. So then the second time we went, they're like, oh yeah, we have posters. Like, oh sick, all right.
How romantic.
It's the best. That's a great Valentine's Day movie.
Honestly.
So much full frontal. So many penises.
There was something else I saw you logged on Letterboxd I was going to ask you about, and I can't remember what it was.
Was it Scream or Cherry Falls?
Did you watch Scream?
Or Red Rocket?
I want to know about.
I did. It was
Cherry
okay.
Falls.
Cherry Falls is insane, and I cannot believe it is a movie.
What is it on? Because Girl That's Scary also watched
just
it.
came to Shudder.
Shudder.
Okay, sweet. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's like someone is going around murdering virgins, and all of the kids at a high school find that out, so they all decide that they're just gonna like try and bang a whole lot so that they're safe.
Yes,
Amazing.
I love it.
Incredible plot.
You know who's in it? It's Canon because Swim Fan's in it.
I was going to ask you about Deep Blood.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Very disappointing.
Man, I watched it late, and I was just so bored through most of it.
Not great.
Like, it bored me to the point where I stopped paying attention, and then something would happen, and I'd look up, and it was like at the tail end of something happening, and I'm like, fuck. All right, well.
That's how I was when I first watched it. Did you buy it?
Yeah,
I did too. Well, because it's also like it's a Joe D'Amato movie, so I was gonna buy it anyway. But it's like it's
His review says I should not have bought this movie.
it's pretty boring for like an Italian shark movie.
Yeah, I was expecting like not quite Cruel Jaws, but at least like within striking distance. At
least you get some
that
shark
kind
footage
of
that's
insanity.
in Cruel Jaws.
Now, Robo War, on the other hand,
so good.
That rules.
Robo
that
War
movie fucking slaps.
So good. It's so stupid.
Amazing. The robot sounds are the best thing I've ever heard.
The robot vision is like my favorite thing because it's just like it's like what Predator sees, but like pixelated as shit. It's incredible. What about you, Katie? What'd you watch?
Okay, I watched a documentary called The Tinder Swindler.
Tilda Swinton.
Yes. Somebody in the documentary said Tindler Swindler, and I've been saying it ever since, and I can't stop. I'm gonna
the Tindler Swindler.
Spoiler alert! I'm gonna save everybody, however fucking long this movie was, 2 hours or some shit. Don't watch it because it basically is about this guy who on Twindler on Pounder.
Tinder, but just
this
for
guy
twins.
On Tinder. Yeah. Wow, that's a good idea, actually. TM it. He basically just pretended to be somebody he wasn't and embezzled like millions of dollars from like women across the world or whatever. It's like the documentary focuses on just like 3 of the women. There was like a lot, and one of the women is in debt for like $40,000 or something that he gave her. Long story short, he goes to jail for like 5 months, and that's it. And he's just like out, and he's fine. And it made me so mad, like so fucking mad.
Yeah, you can't ruin a
Anyways,
young
don't
man's
watch
life
it.
like that.
I know. Well,
Just for making a tiny mistake.
The thing that, like, yeah, right. The thing that was like really annoying to me is that he basically like gets caught by like American Express FBI or some shit because she calls or whatever, and then he gets extradited to, I think he's from Israel, and he gets like charged with just some petty fraud stuff there, and was supposed to serve 15 months and only serves 5, and now he's out, and he's like not in trouble for like swindling anybody out of like all this money by like lying about how he's like the heir to like a diamond mind guy or something. I don't know. Anyways, it was stupid. Then I also watched, oh my God. So we watched Dragon Ball Evolution from 2009.
Oh man, what a film!
I gave it a half of a star. I can't even describe to you. I hated it. It was terrible, obviously. It kind of like
I've got a hot
has
take.
No.
I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is.
It's so bad. So it's based off of Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z, but I don't mind that they just kind of like took the loose idea of it and like made a movie, because it's like not accurate at all. Like nothing almost that happens in it is real, except for like sometimes the people's names. It just looks so fucking weird. Like visually it's weird. It's literally like what I imagine a teenage boy who is like really into anime and like wants to be a really good fighter and like get the popular girl. It's just like a fanfic, essentially, if you ask me. Anyways, and then I watched 2022's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, banger. Just kidding, it's bad.
Well, I am going to say this about it. I have no stake in Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all. Like, I really don't. I could not care less about it. Like, it's not a franchise that I care about at all. I've seen like the first one and then maybe whatever Jessica Biel was in.
Yeah, the remake in 2003.
Yeah, so like I don't care about it at all. I went into it just like, okay, whatever. It's not terrible, but it's pretty dumb.
It's definitely not the worst in the franchise. It's better than
that would be hard.
Yeah.
it's better than 3D and Leatherface, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I think without like spoiling anything, because I know kids still gonna see it. It's just like one of those movies where like every single person in this movie is the biggest fucking idiot I've ever seen in my whole life. Everybody makes the absolute wrong choices, and it was like frustrating. And I'm also going to say, I personally did not think there were any cool kills, and I didn't think that the effects were that great.
I guess because I recently watched like all the other 8, and like the kills in it are fine. Like it's definitely like more brutal than like a lot of the entries in the franchise, but that's also like I don't know how we went from like the first movie where like there's literally no gore and it's not, the point of it is it's supposed to be gory, to being like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like all about the gore and shit. Like I don't know. Like
yeah.
The first kill in the movie is pretty cool. And then like everything else in it is just like, I don't know, people getting an arm cut off and shit. So I'm not really sure why so many people I'm seeing are like being like, wow, the kills in this are so cool. And I'm like, it's typical, post 2000s Texas Chainsaw Massacre kills.
There's also, again, just like a lot of cutaways. Like,
well, it's I know there was some shit where like the original director got like fired like partway,
like a weekend.
Yeah, like partway into making the movie, and Legendary was just like it's so funny to me because like yesterday before it came out, I kept seeing people being like, "Oh, I see people are getting primed to say this is gonna suck," blah blah blah, and I'm like, the studio putting it out said it wasn't good enough to be released into theaters to make their money back and dumped it on Netflix. Like the studio has no faith that this is good. So people being like,
I mean,
and it's also, this franchise has a fucking terrible track record. Like,
yeah.
the first two are legitimate masterpieces. Those movies are perfect. I like 3, but it's flawed. Next Generation also I like, but it's flawed. And everything following that is trash. And so now we're at a majority. It was like 4-4. Like, okay, I like 4 of these. I don't like 4 of these. Now I'm 4 and 5, where I don't like 5 of them and I like 4 of them. So I don't know. I hate this idea that people will just be like, well, I don't understand why they're saying it's going to be bad. It's like, well, did you see the trailer? Because the trailer didn't sell it very well, and Netflix isn't promoting it, and like the studio's not promoting it, and all of these like blogs like Bloody Disgusting was just like posting shit about like, I can't believe Netflix isn't promoting this, and it's like, well, you barely are either. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's just fucking frustrating.
I've got one very important question.
Yes.
How much or how closely does Bulgaria resemble Texas?
I mean, so it's another one of those movies, like, it looks like the 2000 remake. It looks like shit, where they just can't get out of this idea of making everything look like that movie now. So it's just like the whole plot to it is a bunch of fucking, I don't know, 20-year-olds.
I just mean like geographically.
No, this is kind of like tying into that, because it'll make sense when I don't know, when I get to it. But like, it's these kids buy up and are trying to build a fucking quote unquote like leftist utopia in this quote unquote abandoned small Texas town, right? So the entire thing already looks like a set. Like, it looks like an old fucking Western set, basically,
it looks kind
but
of like a Western. Yeah.
So it's literally this town built on like a dirt plot in fucking the middle of nothing else.
It's
that
like a
like
desert.
Texas.
So
and so like it doesn't look like Bulgaria, but it also just kind of looks extremely fake.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like...
that's every Netflix movie.
Sure. And like, my biggest problem with it is like I posted on Instagram about it, where like all of the characters in it are like what Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro think young people are. Like, it's all the most exaggerated, like, Gen Z bullshit of what these characters are like. Like, the final girl in it, like, her entire backstory is that she's a school shooting survivor. But, like, they do nothing with it.
I thought that was really unnecessary. I didn't really understand why that was, like, part of it.
It's insane. And, like...
They shot her school up with chainsaws.
Yes, she gets shot with... It's a gun that shoots chainsaws. Like...
Yes.
And, like, I don't know.
Now that's an idea.
Like, Leatherface is supposed to be, I don't know, 80 in it? But, you know, has that Michael Myers shit where he shot like 8 times.
If you're being generous, like maybe 70.
Yeah, I think most people are just kind of generally saying between 70 and 80 should be his age. And, like, there's a scene where he, like, flies out of this body of water and just, like, basically almost does, like, a superhero stance type bullshit. It's weird. I don't really understand what their idea was.
Run really fast.
He
could definitely run faster than me. Which doesn't seem like...
I will say, like...
Not a whole lot to do in Texaria.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
They bring the Sally character back, even though the actress that played her is dead. And like, I kind of
Like the only reason to do that is if the actor is still
Yeah.
alive, you know? That's the
Yeah,
only thing
to
that gives
get-
that any
yeah.
kind of emotional resonance.
they were literally
That
just
shit's so silly.
jumping, like everyone has said it since the trailer came out, because she says almost the exact same line from like Halloween 18 or Halloween Kills, I forget which one.
What
Where
what if they cut to her and she's like, I'm gonna kill Michael Myers?
she might as well have, but like,
I mean,
so
honestly,
I won't.
I also-
I'm not going to spoil it, but like, I personally kind of appreciate what they did with her character more than they've done with Laurie Strode in the Halloween ones, because it's kind of it's a little bit ballsy what they do with her, but they also kind of squander it, and it was pointless to a point. But like, I don't know, there's something that happens that I was kind of like actually taken by surprise with. But other than that, it's like, I don't know, it's really stupid, and it's like, I don't think the deaths are good enough for it to be that, like, I don't know, that like it was fun and dumb because the deaths were cool, because they're kind of not. It's just
they're not.
gory and him slashing at people with a chainsaw, but like, also it's just another one where nobody in it is fucking likable. Everybody is just the
No.
worst, and like, I didn't care that anybody in it was getting killed.
No, me neither. My other thing is that I feel like they spent so much time kind of like introducing you to the characters for them to just actually not be that developed at all. And then I'm just like, all right, like fucking get to it. And then like once they do get to it, I'm just like, this is not. It's just, I don't know. It's just dumb. Like it's definitely not the worst movie I've seen, of course. Like I don't feel like I wasted my time, but I'm just like, we could definitely, can we not do better than this?
It's
at this
literally
point?
like, if I did like a ranking of the 9 movies, it would be number 7 for me. Like, it's not the worst
Wow.
in the franchise,
Yeah.
but it's very, very far from being good. And like, I think, like, there was a point in the movie when I was watching it that I was like, ooh, like, if I don't know, I'll wait till Kit watches it. Maybe we'll talk about it in the next episode. Like, kind of like,
Yeah.
where I thought like if the ending was what I thought they were leading to, I was actually going to be like, okay, this is pretty ballsy. This might like redeem the rest of the movie being dumb as shit, and then they don't do it, and I was like, okay, of course not. But
Yeah.
hard pass. If
Yeah.
I guess if you've watched the other 8, fuck it, you might as well watch it. But like, it's
also
I mean,
like
it's a
fine
sunk
for it
cost
to be
at this
free
point.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
like, if you already have Netflix, it's whatever. But it's also like, I don't know. I saw people that were like, oh, I set my alarm so I could wake up like 2 hours before I have to leave for work so I could watch it. And I was like, come on. Like,
Well, that's an insane thing to do with anything.
that's
to be honest.
well, yeah. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't understand. But then again, I also saw a shit ton of people that are like, this is my second favorite behind the remake, and I'm like, all right, well, you're already starting at a fucking low point, so.
Right.
Was that the end of your watched stuff, Katie?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I watched a bunch of shit that I won't go into all of it again because like stuff that I rewatched and shit. But I've got my 100% on Wes Craven on Letterboxd by watching the porno he directed called The Fireworks Woman. That is the best movie he's ever directed. I'm gonna say it.
Oh,
It's
no.
his masterpiece. No, I mean, it's like I think I gave it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd, but it's not great, but it's also very interesting seeing like a hardcore movie he directed. I rewatched Dead Heat because I dived into that Vinegar Syndrome box set, and there's like a pretty cool like bonus features on there. I watched Curfew, which was one of the Vinegar Syndrome movies released with Dead Heat, and it's fine. It's like a home invasion movie, but like, I don't know. It's not great, but it's also not totally unwatchable. I started watching the Angel movies. So Angel, Avenging Angel, and then Angel 3, the final chapter. And then after the final chapter, there's of course a fourth movie that I didn't get to, which is about like
It better be Angel. That's just like 4 for the A. 4 and
no,
Joel.
they didn't even do anything fun like that.
Four and Joel.
The first 2 were pretty good, and then 3 was not great. But it's kind of like it's just the story of like this sex worker who's like ends up like some dude in the first movie is killing off sex workers, and she goes to try to like figure out what's going on and like stop it from happening. And the first one's like legitimately pretty good, like 80s kind of grimy street crime movie. And then 2 is okay, and then 3 just kind of gets ridiculous, but they're fine. If you can watch them for free, I would recommend it. I rewatched The Strange Vice of Miss Ward, which is a fucking really good Giallo movie. I found a channel on YouTube that just has uploaded a bunch of like pretty incredibly good quality Giallo movies. So that's mostly what I watched, and a lot of it was like stuff I'd seen before, but I'm just kind of working my way through that. I watched The Mummy Theme Park, which is directed by the same person that did Creatures from the Abyss. That at some point I want to do this movie on the podcast, because it's one of the most insanely so bad it's good movies I have ever seen.
I like the title.
It's wild. The movie is somehow crazier than Creatures from the Abyss, and that was the movie that had the doctor that was fucking fish that he swore was above age. So
Oh my god.
I watched the 3 Evil Dead movies, the originals, which I hadn't really watched in a while, and those are all still perfect. I watched my way through all of the George Romero Living Dead movies, and pretty steep drop off of quality. I still stand by Land of the Dead being fun.
Yeah, it's silly, but it's enjoyable.
Diary of the Dead was one I always stuck up for, but it doesn't really hold up. Like the CGI in it is terrible, and Survival of the Dead's borderline unwatchable. And then the last 2 I'll talk about, I bought this documentary. Oh, there's my alarm. This documentary called Deodato Holocaust. That's just like a interview and look at Ruggero Deodato's like movies. He's the guy who directed Cannibal Holocaust and shit. It's pretty interesting. And then I rewatched Creepshow, which still rules, and I will stand by my take that the Stephen King acting in it also rules.
Amazing. I also agree.
It's the best Stephen King performance besides getting yelled at by ATM.
It's hard to beat that one.
I gotta buy some Suspiria sweatpants. That's what my fucking alarm was for.
Yeah, I get it.
So shout outs. You guys got anything fun to shout out?
Jackass.
Yeah. As soon as that hits streaming, I'm just going through all of them.
Oh, that's exactly what I did. Just watching, 1 through 3, and then I started the show again.
Yeah.
It's delightful watching the evolution of these lunatics.
I haven't seen the show in so long. I should dive into that at some point. I don't think I've seen it since it originally aired.
Some of it is just like, why did I find this so amusing? Like, it'll be Bam doing something just fucking stupid and not funny. And then immediately goes into Knoxville getting hit in the balls by all of the children, like testing out the cup.
I've always kind of felt like he like Bam was like the weak link. Especially once it became like the Viva La Bam shit and stuff. I was like, he was always kind of like the weak link for me.
Also,
unless he's getting scared
this is
by
my
a snake.
official. That shit's always good. This is my official plea to bring back Wild Boys, the best Jackass spinoff.
I don't think I ever watched that. I think that was like past the point where I was like watching anything on MTV.
It was delightful from what I recall. I want to rewatch it all. I just have to buy it because it's not streaming anywhere. So eventually.
All right, what you got, Katie?
The only thing I've really been doing was I got the Pokemon Legends Arceus game. It's amazing. I was like kind of hesitant about it at first just because it's like essentially if like Pokemon and Breath of the Wild had a baby. And it was way not as hard as Breath of the Wild, but way not as easy as Pokemon. And then they put it together and made the game. And it is amazing. So I highly recommend it if you really like Pokemon, but also maybe if you haven't played Pokemon before. It's like more of like, I mean, a Pokemon is an RPG, but it's more like a open world RPG, and it's like a completely different like system. It's like kind of hard to explain if you don't have any basis for regular Pokemon games, but I just like absolutely love it and it's amazing. And that's mostly what I've been doing.
Oh yeah. I'm going to say if you have HBO Max, there's a show on there called The Cube that Caitlin and I watched all of on like I started it as a what was it?
Did y'all gleam it?
Yeah, we skated all over it. Like I put it on at the end of the night one night where I was like, the fuck is this? Like this looks real stupid, and then we just ended up watching the whole thing. And it's like it's just like this really stupid game show where like contestants have to like go inside this cube and do like some insane task like here's, 25 red balls and 25 blue ones, and then like the floor will flash a color and you have 12 seconds to flip off 12 of the or all 25 of the red ones without touching any of the blue ones, and it's just dumb shit like that. But it's really fascinating when you get to watch people that like come in there super cocky and then just fail at these tasks like over and over and over again.
The best.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have HBO Max, go watch that. I think it got renewed for a second season, so I could watch that in like a year.
We need it to get a third, so then they can just call it Cubed.
Yeah, that's what should happen.
Ooh. Love it.
All right, Katie, what are we watching next week?
Oh shit!
I have.
I forgot it.
Dave Grohl's Studio 666.
No, I remember. Which one should I do?
Just pick one. Who cares?
Okay, so let's do Tales from the Dark Side movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I
Perfect
forgot it was
film.
back to me again. Damn, this has been zapping and by.
Do you know what that's on by any chance?
I'm not sure. I just have the DVD.
Right. I just didn't know if it was on anything or not. I'm not opposed to renting things. Yeah, we'll have to rent it on like
I'm
Vudu
pretty-
or whatever, but
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, but yeah, definitely it's the movie that's like the trilogy, not the TV.
I'm gonna
show
watch the
for
TV
people
series.
Who were wondering. I mean, please do, but that's not specifically what we'll be talking about.
I'm gonna watch.
I do own the TV series. I bought it a while back for like $20 on DVD and never watched it.
Amazing.
All right, yeah, that'll be next week. Tales from the Dark Side. I feel like that's one most people that listen to this have probably seen.
I
I hope
so.
so, because up until a couple of years ago, I feel like I hadn't seen anybody talking about it really, and it's like been one of my favorites. So I'm excited to talk about
I
it.
can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's a movie that I remember watching like pretty young that kind of like fucked me up as a kid. So I'm interested to give it a rewatch.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. If you would like to support us, you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. We'll have a bonus episode sometime soon after this comes out on something to do with toilets. So you can look forward to that.
Toilet time.
Yeah. It's always toilet time at I Hope You Suffer. Get merch at our
Honestly, that's kind of true.
yeah. You get merch at our Store Frontier shop. Leave us a rating on Spotify and a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us if you think doing a death drop hurts or not. Just leave us a review that just says yes or no.
Do one, yeah, if you can do one, let us know because I want to see it.
You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. You can listen to my other podcast, Ain't Kate Movie Club. I hope you Gloria Butthole.
I hope you Janet Butt
Butthole.
Fitness. Oh. Hate it.
Just side note real quick. There is a place in because I don't know why. I think it was some trivia show Caitlin and I were watching that the term bunghole is apparently like the name of like an opening in like a wine crate.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know that, and I was looking it up, and I started coming up with all of these stores called bunghole liquors, and I was like, come on. That's just the fucking.
I like how you said that, and Kit was like, well, duh, yes, of course.
Well, I always thought it was like, I don't know why, in my mind, I always thought it was the name of like, I thought it was the the knot in a tree. For some reason, I think I heard something that's what they were called, but maybe I'm like conflating it with something else. And so I was looking it up because I was like, wait, isn't that what this is? Then I was like, wait, no, it's something in like a wine crate. And then like I started getting pictures for like a store somewhere in like Salem or something called Bunghole Liquors, and I was like, incredible.
Is it like a wine store though?
Yeah, it's like bunghole and then liquors, like the drink or like the alcohol.
Oh, I love that. So that's hilarious. That's a good drag name.
Yeah, I'm sure that's someone's. All right.
I love it.
I hope you bunghole but liquors.
All right, I like it. Picasso.